Hey everybody, it's E3 2009 and we are here at the Warner Brothers booth and we're about to check out a really interesting platformer called Scribblenauts. I've got Matt Cox here, he's the lead designer. Matt, you're about to show us the game in action, but before we do that, can you give us a real quick description of what Scribblenauts is all about?
Sure. Scribblenauts is a puzzle action game where anything you can think of, you can write down and use in the game. So any object you can think of will actually be in the game for you to use. Now, there are two different types of levels. There are puzzle levels and there are action levels. In the puzzle levels, you're given kind of a hint, sort of a little mission for you to do, and if you do it correctly, you will be rewarded with the starlight. Now, the action levels are more hardcore, where all you have to do is find a way to navigate obstacles and enemies to get to the starlight. So, yeah.
That's some big talk. Why don't you show us what it's all about right now?
All right, okay, let's get into the game.
All right. Here we go.
This is actually the start screen, and what's cool about the start screen, it's a kind of a fifth cell tradition where you can actually play all the core game actually from the start screen. So whatever you wanted to do, you could spawn anything you want, but whatever. Let's go ahead and get into the game. One of the great things about Scribblenauts is that even after you beat a level, you can go back into an advanced mode where you can't use any of the objects you did before. So it actually is automatic replay value, and if you do that 3 times in a row without using objects you used before, you will be rewarded with a merit, and merits are kind of our achievements for the game. So here's an example of one of our puzzle levels. So it says, give 2 of them what they would use in their hands. Now it's a very simple hint, and what you have here, you've got a cop, a chef, a fireman, and a doctor. So what would they use in their hands? So a lot of people would write maybe gun. So let's see if gun would work. All right, let's see what happens. All right.
A chef obviously uses a gun, right? Or is that the cop?
No, that's the cop. Okay. The cop went and picked up the gun. But then, that's kind of obvious, and a lot of people are trying to stump the dictionary, and so they're like, I wonder if stethoscope is in the game. Of course, and there's a stethoscope, and the doctor would either go to it, or also everything is stylus-based in Scribblenauts, so you can actually drag it right over the doctor. And as you can see, since you only had to give 2 of them what they would use in their hands, you can collect the starlight. Now, as I said, everything in Scribblenauts is stylus-based, from using vehicles, from movement, like when you swim, you will also just tap where you want to go. And when you use equipment, tools or weapons or anything like that, you just tap the object you want to use it on. So everything can be used with the stylus. And the only thing that's not is the camera, which on the D-pad and the buttons you can move around the map just to see. So let's go into a more action level where your whole point is to navigate to the starlight. And so the pre-camera will kind of show you what the level is like, and then give you a hint again. 3 ways to go. And so there are several things you can do. You can go up, find a way to get yourself over, or you can see there's some diggable terrain here. You can find a way to dig across, or you can come down here. So it's really up to you. So some people are like, well, of course, I want to use a jetpack. So let's see if we have a jetpack in the game. There you go. And so it's just very simple to use. It's like you just move and you go where it says where you're tapping. It's very simple. And so let's say I shorted out the jetpack on and we can't use that. Well, to go underwater, you could use anything, any sort of diving equipment or a diving helmet, but some people like to think outside of the box and actually ride a creature. Now in Scribblenauts, you can actually you can ride certain friendly animals. So, and riding animals is just as easy as riding a vehicle. And so, of course, he's sinking because he doesn't have a diving helmet. So let's put a diving helmet on him.
Dolphins are also good for killing sharks, as I found out a minute ago.
Nice. Well, that's kind of the cool thing about Scribblenauts is that we have AI in the game, and sometimes certain things will defeat other enemies. It just depends on the situation. Let's get him on there. There we go. And so that's good, so he can breathe underwater. And so, like I said before, once you collect the star, you can go back in and try different things. And you could, maybe a shovel or a pickaxe or a bomb or TNT to blow through the diggable terrain. And yeah, that's many, many ways you can do it. Now there are a lot more complicated levels in Scribblenauts the further you get into the game. There are, enemies and fighter jets. I mean, there's just a whole myriad of things that you can not only spawn, but you will encounter in Scribblenauts. And it's the depth and the breadth is actually really surprising. So we invite everybody to check it out.
All right, Matt, so definitely a lot of objects in there. How many would you say total, if you could guess off the top of your head?
I can't really guess. I mean, there's tens of thousands of objects. I mean, if it's common, and of course, if it's not copyrighted or vulgar, then it's in Scribblenauts. And we've had people stop by all the time to try to, stump it with some weird objects, and people have been really surprised.
Well, I definitely had a good time with it, but before I let you go, could I get some release information from you? For example, when is the game going to be out, and is it strictly on the Nintendo DS?
Yes, it's only on the DS, and it will be available early fall.
All right, Matt, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Matt.
That'll do it for Scribblenauts from E3, but stay tuned for more coverage in the upcoming months.